edition of the North Eastern Railway magazine just in. Railwaymen send letters from the front. Read all about it. North Eastern Railway Battalion land in France. Here you go, sir. All aboard!
4th of October, 1918. A field hospital, somewhere in France. Dear editor of the North Eastern Railway magazine, my name is Sam Perkins, formerly head steward on the railway dining car ECJS 189. A famous dining car, actually. A real beauty she was, all polished wood panelling both inside and out. And on board I got to look after the culinary needs, that's food to you and me, of our third-class passengers. Now I'm a quartermaster sergeant, looking after the culinary needs of the North Eastern Railway Battalion, out here on the front. Well, until today, that is. When I was back home in York, I always read the letters you published from former railway lads out here. North Eastern Railwaymen, fighting for king and country. Today, I find myself writing just such a letter, to tell you about my life, and to let my railway friends and colleagues know, back in England, how I'm getting on. So here goes. Where to start? Back at the beginning, I guess. Well over 20 years ago. Back to 1888, when I am nowt but a railway nipper. I get my first job at York Railway Station, on the North Eastern Railway line when I'm nowt but a little lad of 8, delivering hampers to the express train from London as it comes through station on its way to Edinburgh. Earns me a few coppers, does this.
York Station. This is York Station.
Coming through. Thank you. Hamper for Mrs. Fortescue. Hamper for Mrs. Fortescue. Mrs. Fortescue.
Did you say Fortescue? That's me.
Did you order hamper, my lady?
I did indeed, young man. I ordered it before boarding at King's Cross. This must be York, then. Such a long journey to Edinburgh. I know the train takes refreshment breaks at some stations, but one never gets enough time to enjoy eating in the station tea room in a 20-minute break. The queues are horrendous, you know.
I know, right enough, ma'am. You did well to order a hamper. Well, there's the whistle. Enjoy the rest of your journey, ma'am.
Thank you, young man. Here's a few pennies for your trouble. Can you catch?
1, 2. Where'd the other one go?
In July 1894, I'm 14, and to be honest, I'm too big to be a nipper anymore. But as luck would have it, this is the year that the beautiful and sumptuous dining car, the ECJS 189, gets designed and built here in Yorkshire. And guess who lands the job of on-board pantry boy? Only yours truly. There isn't much room in the pantry. That's why it's always a young lad who works in here. It's long hours and I have to get used to standing on a moving train and not losing my balance. Oh, I'm that excited. I've never been out of York before. Not that I get to see much of countryside, what with window being frosted glass. Don't get to see the passengers neither, except for when they pass by the pantry on wait at dining car. You just have to wash the dishes and keep the meals warm, ready for attendant stewards to serve them, you know? But it's a regular job. A good job for a 14-year-old. Means I can help out me mum and dad with me wages. Help put food on our table. And that makes me proud. When I get to 19, a vacancy comes up for an attendant steward. And I think, well, why not, Sammy boy? So I apply for it. I have to undergo a test. They put this blindfold on me and I have to walk in a straight line to show I have good balance. Oh! Well, it's not easy serving hot dinners on a moving vehicle. That's why a lot of old sailors got the job, because of their rolling gait. Soup, madam.
Can I take your order, please, sir?
Soup, madam?
All those years working in pantry has done wonders for my balance, and the next thing you know, I'm all suited and booted like the other attendant stewards. By, our uniform makes me look a proper dandy. I feel that smart, that proud to wear it, because it's worlds away from the tatty old clothes I wore as a nipper. It has epaulettes and shiny buttons, which I take to polishing regular like. And now, I get to serve the passengers. I tell you, the food is right fancy. What, for third class, I mean. I have to learn all these French names, like soufflé or terrine of beef mode. Half the time I have to explain them to passengers. That's a beef pot roast to you and I, love. And to be honest, the inside of the coach is that beautiful in its design that first-class passengers feel it's posh enough for them too. And so they start travelling third class, saving themselves a bob or two, much to the annoyance of the East Coast Joint Stock Company. To tell you the truth, when I first hear about the East Coast Joint Stock Company wanting to introduce dining cars, I get the fright of my life, because of what it'll mean for me and my family. I'm just running an errand to the carriage and wagon department when I hear the draftsman chatting, talking about this new carriage that's being designed by their superintendent, the Scotsman David Bain. And I realise this could mean the end for all us nippers.
I tell you, out for out. Looking at Mr. Bain's design, this carriage will revolutionise food on the move. No more nippers running along platform, passing hampers of cold food through window. Oh no, this carriage will provide food on board. Hot food to boot.
Listen, Harry, if you ask me...
Which I'm not.
Instead of a decent hamper of cold ham in your belly, you'll end up with a plate of hot dinner on your lap. What with train swaying backward and forward, clattering along tracks. Food on the move, I ask you.
Look at the design, it's in front of your eyes, man. The tables are screwed to wall.
Give it here. Right, and where are ladies going to put their hats whilst they're eating? I bet he hasn't thought of that. Well, I'll be. A fancier carriage I've never seen. This can't be third class.
It's the ECJS 189. Oh, hello, Nipper. Didn't see you there, you young scallywag. What's up, cat got your tongue?
And that's when I realised my days of working as a nipper are over. I suppose I should explain for some of our readers what ECJS stands for. East Coast Joint Stock Company. The East Coast Joint Stock is a fleet of passenger railway coaches, jointly owned by the Great Northern Railway, the North British Railway and, of course, the North Eastern Railway. As readers will know, these are the main operators of the East Coast Main Line. Anyway, having designed this revolutionary restaurant on wheels, the first of David Bain's dining cars is ready to leave. On July the 24th, 1894, at 14:20 hours, it departs from London King's Cross, with me as pantry boy on board it.
Mr. Bain!
Mr. Bain?
Over here, sir!
Mr. Bain!
How does it feel to see your design in the flesh and off on its first journey to Edinburgh, eh?
Mr. Bain, can you spare a comment for the Daily Telegraph?
Mr. Bain, is it true that food on the move will revolutionise long-distance travel?
The excitement is something else. All these people gathered at King's Cross to wave us off. We're swiftly followed by a train containing press and photographers, all wanting to get a snap and write a story about this new third-class train service that served lunch on board for 2 shillings and 6 pence. And not just any lunch. A 3-course dinner fit for... Well, I doubt the King himself would pass up the sumptuous nosh we served. Along our line from Hull to Tyne and north to the Berwick Wall, a signal ran to every man, do you hear your country call? Hurrah, hurrah, for the boys of the NER, who are now enrolled in the old and bold and keen to go to war. So I work hard on board ECJS 189. From pantry boy to attendant steward, these beautiful surroundings become home to me. And then, in August 1914, the Edwardian golden summer is shattered by the outbreak of war. The world changes forever. Railwaymen begin responding to the call to arms. Posters showing railwaymen from draftsmen to porters, from drivers to signalmen, all dressed as soldiers, are everywhere you look. At every station the dining car pulls into. One by one, the railway lads begin to leave. I think I might sign up. But then they keep saying it will all be over by Christmas. And between you and me, I'm working towards a promotion. Head steward, no less. Me, head steward. So we keep on working, me and ECJS 189. But all the time I'm serving sumptuous food to our passengers, it's niggling away at me. What am I doing here, still working the trains, when our lads are out there in the trenches? Shouldn't I go too? It's not as if I've not got nothing to offer. I've been in York Territorials past 10 years. I might lose my only chance to become head steward. But can I live with my conscience if I don't go out and fight?
Look after yourselves, lads. Come back safe.
But the war isn't over by Christmas. It rages on. And every day my conscience pricks. And then, suddenly, we're told they're going to decommission the dining cars. Whether that's because it no longer seemed right to be serving passengers 3-course meals during a time of war, I don't know. But sure enough, in May 1916, the ECJS 189 is pulled out of service. And that's it. I throw in my lot with the NER battalion, swap my steward's uniform for that of a quartermaster soldier. I'm one of the lucky ones. It's not every lad gets a job in the army similar to what he does back home. And over time, because I pick up the duties quick, I get promoted to quartermaster sergeant. And that's how you find me today, reader. No longer serving tureen of beef mode, but plain old bully beef. You see, I'm in charge of supplies to the lads. A job I take very seriously. We leave York for Folkestone, en route for Boulogne. From thence, by marches and train journeys, direct to the front. The lads have a breakfast table of sandbags. They form a cover to a tin of liquid for our respirators. But we don't find tureen of beef mode here. At present, we are resting well behind the firing line, far from the sticky gases suffocating fumes. They talk about the earth trembling. But I thought the earth had opened when the tremendous roar of the guns burst my first day on the front. I don't know how ever anybody lived under such a bombardment. The quartermaster fell sick yesterday and went to hospital, so that his duties now devolve upon me. At 1 a.m, the battalions roused and marched off to line a canal bank and subsequently the trenches to support the Canadians who were hard pressed and suffering considerable losses. Soldiers and privates killed and a number wounded. Hours pass, and without any news of the battalion, I head out with transport and food supplies to locate them. Having discovered some potatoes and carrots that day, I'll be able to feed them well. And after a 4 hours search, I'll reach them. Nothing can prepare you for this. I thought by what I heard before I came out that it was a terrible war. But no one who has not seen it knows how awful it is. It is a scientific murder, and everybody has to take his chance. But there's compassion amidst the bloodshed. Word passed down the communication trench that one of our boys looked over the top of the trench, which is a very brave thing to do, and saw a German moving. The lads called to him to crawl into our trench, but he said he could not, as he was shot through the leg and shoulders. The German trenches were only 40 yards from ours, and our lads told him to tell his comrades to come and take him to his own trenches. and say that if they did, we would not shoot. So the word is passed up and down the trenches not to shoot while the Germans take one of their wounded in. Our lads shout at Fritz what we have agreed to do, and he calls to his comrades, saying we will not shoot. So up jumps one, out of the trench, and walks boldly across and gets hold of the wounded man. "Gentlemen, I thank you one and all," he says in plain English, then takes him back. We have not got over this touching scene when the Germans shout over and ask us if we would not shoot while they take him to another trench that leads to the hospital. And it is granted. Then the battle resumes and never ceases. For 7 hours we are subjected to the continuous shell fire bursting before and around us. It's a perfect hell. Shells and bullets galore. We lose a few officers and men. Poor lads. They die like heroes for king and country before our eyes. And how more of us aren't injured or killed, I cannot say. But reader, my luck runs out and I am hit. The shrapnel pierces my hip and abdomen, and the pain is such I'm close to passing out, and I think this is it. This must be the end. Blood is everywhere. And I am filled with a certain dread that I will die here where I lay. That there is no way out of hell and that I will never see England again. The pain is unbearable, and a suffocating darkness wipes over me. And when I come to, I swear I must be dreaming. For I am now lying in a wooden wagon among many wounded. And as I raise my head to gain my bearings, it looks like a railway track is laid out in front of me, leading me away from the continuous fire, leading me away from these deathly surroundings. And I listen to the clatter of the wagon's wheels on the fish plates, and inwardly I thank the men who must have risked their lives to lay this track, as it carries me towards the nearest casualty clearing station and to safety. The pain and darkness overtakes me once again as the sound of the wheels on the track grows louder, and lying in the wagon, I succumb to their rhythm. The repetitive sound transporting me a million miles from the horror of the trenches, till I imagine I am once again on board the beautiful ECJS 189, just at the end of my shift, just pulling safely into York Station. And as I sink deeper into blissful memory, the comforting sound of the murmur of dining passengers surrounds me, and the chink and clink of cutlery wipes out the barrage of the guns. With relief, I take in the ornately frosted glass, the glint of light reflecting from the glass mirrors as they catch the sunshine, and catch the reflection of the ornate lamps in the highly polished teak panel. I look up and reflect once again on the magnificence of the glass clerestory roof, a roof fit for a cathedral. And as I bathe in its beauty, I imagine, no, I pray for a world where order and civilization have been restored, and where the guns may, please God, fall forever silent.
The war ended on a railway carriage in a forest north of Paris, where the armistice was signed at 5 o'clock in the morning on the 11th of November. The guns fell silent on the Western Front 6 hours later, at the 11th hour of the 11th day 1918.